Every year I know we gonna go hard. We been that team ever since Bart started. All my cheese heads go pack go. Ain't showing no mercy, cutting no slack, no. I ain't a bad sport and I'll even wish you good luck. Only thing I will.
Oh my gosh. Welcome to Lombardi's Legends podcast. And we have an insanely special guest on this episode, folks. None other than Green Bay Packers defensive back Tyrell Ford. Tyrell, welcome to Lombardi's Legends podcast. We're absolutely hyped to have you on, man. So thanks for joining us. Welcome to the pod.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me again, like I said earlier.
Oh man, we're so happy. I mean, so first question we have to ask first time guests. I think this is a softball one on a football podcast. Tyrell, how does it feel to be a Green Bay Packer?
I mean, I feel like a lot of people can think about it like being very surreal and everything, but I mean, it's something that I like work my whole life towards. And I mean, like it's obviously awesome. Like it's great opportunity and everything, but I feel like it's the next step and I just got to take advantage of it.
Yeah, for sure. And Tyrell, you certainly you signed with the Packers on the futures contract back in January, coming off a season in CFL with Winnepeg Blue Bombers. So can you tell us a little bit more about that journey? Then you said you've worked your whole life to get into the NFL. So just kind of curious if you could share with everyone what that journey was like and steps along the way to get here.
Yeah, so it's definitely an interesting one. I feel like it's very unique and special in a sense. Like I've never really played American football. Like I grew up playing at a Canadian high school, Canadian university, and then even playing 1 year in the CFL and then transitioning to the NFL. So I definitely have still just a lot to learn about the American game in general. Like concepts and stuff are a little bit different and it happens a little bit faster. But yeah, just like, again, I think I don't really, I guess, know a lot of people that have like been on the same path I'm on. I think there was one guy maybe a couple of years ago. He was a defensive lineman from, I believe, Manitoba, and he got picked up in the draft. But other than him, I don't know a lot of people that have like strictly played Canadian and then transferred over.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. I mean, it's a 3-down in Canada. It's a 3-down game, right? It's not the 4-down game. So instantly that's got to be a massive change on down and distance.
Yeah, 3 downs, bigger field, one extra guy. I mean, definitely I'd say the NFL has got a little more run heavy because they have the extra down. But again, at the end of the day, it's just football. So just got to go out there and play.
Do you think it helps you that it's that it is a little bit more run heavy in the NFL with it being an extra down? I mean, with your position, it lends itself obviously to the balls in the air, right? And it's a wider field. So what is that? Not to get too technical right away, but I mean, it is kind of fascinating that we watch a little bit of Canadian football, and I mean that ball seems to be aired out all the time. So that's your MO is you got to cover the pass catchers.
Yeah, I think it's I think staying in Canada definitely helped me a little bit. I mean, I guess we would definitely say there's a difference in the athletes I'm going against, which, I mean, I understand the argument, but like the Canadian rules, I feel like are like a little bit harder. Like you can't really go down and press at one. The field's bigger. We only have one safety, so like you kind of have less help, especially again with the field being bigger. The receivers got the run-ups, and you can't be very physical down the field with receivers either. So it's almost like playing like a shadow or a mirror technique where you can't really touch them. So it's a little bit tougher in that sense. But I don't know, because the 4 downs, I feel like too in the NFL you get a lot more play action. So sometimes it can carry out a little bit longer. But I mean, both games got like their differences. So
yeah. Yeah, I was just going to ask too, just going back to that journey. I saw your twin brother played football with you and all the way through college as well. Is that correct? And I think I saw your dad was a coach when you guys were in youth football. So was it always football for you guys? And that was kind of the sport that you always were really focused on and dreamed of having a future in, or was there other sports or opportunities that you were involved with earlier on?
Yeah, for the most part, it was always just football. My dad like instilled it in us real early. And I remember we played a little bit of basketball here and there, and we did track as well. But we were mostly running track so we could run fast 40s, which I mean worked out a little bit, I guess. But yeah, mainly just football and love every part of it. So.
Yeah, for sure. And speaking of the 40, 4.4240, I saw in the combine when you came out of college. So that's pretty spectacular to have that level of speed. At the cornerback position, it's somewhat of a necessity, but that still is a standout at that level as well. But additionally, you've been a kick and punt returner. So could you tell us a little bit about that background and how you feel that might translate into this opportunity here with the Packers moving forward?
Yeah, so actually it's interesting. Even going out to Winnipeg my first year, I was thinking about being like a kick returner, punt returner type thing. But when I got there, we had like the best punt returner and kick returner in the whole league. So it was kind of I started getting reps at gunner and stuff like that, and it definitely helped me because like obviously with Green Bay, I'm looking at the same thing because like we got Keyshawn Nixon who's like, he's the return guy, he's returning the ball, and so like it definitely helped to get those reps at gunner and stuff in the CFL because in university and high school I was always the return guy. So it's just I have a lot to learn there and see how it goes.
No, so I love I love how humble you're being, by the way, Tyrell. So Tyrell's like, yeah, running track, it kind of worked out with the speed. I mean, dude, you had, I think, the fastest 40 time in the CFL combine, if I'm not mistaken. You can fly, and speed is something that I don't think really you can add to potentially. I don't know, you're faster than I am, so you know better. But at the end of the day, you've got some real speed. And how does that help you as a gunner? I mean, because, getting jammed at the line, it's such a physical approach, but if you can get past that guy on the coverage units, and we ask that because as you mentioned, I mean, I think that the key to a roster spot for guys that are coming in that aren't high draft picks or veterans potentially is going to be, potentially through special teams. So how does that speed maybe assist you as you navigate your way through special teams in Green Bay?
Yeah, so well the whole 4.42, I don't know, it's good, but I definitely think I could have ran faster. Like when I was training, I was running faster, but the week before the combine, I got COVID, so it kind of messed me up. And then on top of that, we were doing our combine in the middle of winter and we were in a dome, but the heater was broken.
Oh.
Couldn't really warm up very well. Like I remember we were doing one-on-ones and I had sweatpants and a sweater on under my equipment. It was so cold. But yeah, obviously the speed is just like if you can get that step on a guy and then you're faster than him, then you're really just running down and it's just tackle practice. But a lot of it is like I definitely gotta get my footwork together off like the releases because I'm not a receiver. I've been playing DB my whole life, so like I don't really have, I guess, a lot in my release packages. But it was something that we were definitely working on in OTAs and something that I think I'm picking up well and see how it translates. So.
Yeah. So Tyrell, what was it that prompted you then? Was it always an NFL dream for you? Because I saw you tried out with the Jaguars too, but I mean, you're in the CFL. So why now? Why was this the perfect opportunity or a time in your mind to make the transition from the CFL and try to live that NFL dream?
I mean, I don't know if it was perfect timing. I mean, I'm kind of a little bit older now, 25. But I definitely think it definitely helped with the whole, like I was with my brother a lot. And then when I went up to the CFL, not even so much in a football sense, but just getting used to like being by myself, living by myself, traveling. Just because like football is a big part of it. But one thing I realized is like, if you're not in the right mental space, it doesn't really matter how good you are. If you're not focused on football and there's other like stuff outside that's bothering you, it will affect your play. And just being able to like deal with all that, because I know in Winnipeg, definitely once I like got comfortable and was able to figure everything out, like when you're moving into a place and you gotta figure out, okay, one, where am I gonna live, the internet, getting up the hydro bill and everything set up. So like it's just stuff like outside stuff like that that can affect your game. But once you're able to get all that out of the way and play football, it becomes a lot easier.
Yeah, for sure. And I was just going to follow up too. What were your initial impressions of Green Bay then when you came in, and now that you've got basically a full off-season program under your belt, as you're heading into camp? But was that a big difference? I know you talked a little bit about some of the technical and some of the just purely football side of things, but kind of curious what that transition was like and what the impressions were when you stepped into Lambeau Field.
Yeah, so when I first went out there on my workout, I was a little shocked at first because we came out there and I didn't know I was supposed to run a 40. So my agent didn't tell me. They didn't tell me I got there. And so we were warming up and like, oh, you got 30 minutes. And I was like, okay. And so I'm warming up, taking my time. And then they're like, oh, well, we're kind of tight on time. We got to go. And I was like, I haven't even fully sprinted yet. And so I had to run my 40, and I didn't run nearly as fast as I did there. I think I ran like a 4.5 something. And I was like, well, and it was only one run. So I was like, okay, well, that's interesting. But then I went there and I had a good workout, and I was just talking like, oh, what do you think I can work on? Because I got a couple more workouts coming up. And they were just like, oh, well, you looked a little stiff in the hips. And I was like, well, I didn't really warm up enough. But and just like when I was talking to them, they were like, I could tell they liked what they seen and like just the facility and everything. And I remember even talking with my agent that they like really care about their players. And I just like, I don't know, I liked everything about it. And I was like, this could definitely be a good fit for me. And I was excited it worked out that way.
That's super interesting. So when you're doing that kind of workout situation, who's there? Is that general manager? Is that scouts? What does that look like? Who's kind of there as part of a workout like that? Because you've kind of got a more fascinating route, I would say, than, a draft pick, right? We kind of know the traditional draft picks. What's that look like?
I mean, when I showed up, there's just a lot of people there in general, but it's more, I would say, front office people, not so much like head coach or positional coaches. So it's more front office guys. So, yeah.
No, that's super cool. So how does this come about? How do you get the call that you're going to be heading to Green Bay, even for a tryout? And when did you know that they weren't going to let you leave Green Bay and that they were going to try to keep you around and add you to the futures contract?
So it's actually interesting. So one, I didn't know any of the workouts I had. My agent would just call me and be like, oh, well, you're flying out here in 3 days, be ready. Okay. But so because I was in the CFL, there was a certain day where they could sign me. So when I actually went out to Lambeau, it was like I was talking to them and they were definitely like, oh, well, we think you'll get a couple offers just from like teams like because I worked out for 6 teams. So like a couple offers, and I was like, okay, like sounds like they're definitely interested. So I told my agent that, and then a day before it came time to sign, the teams were all like talking to my agent, and he told me, oh, well, Green Bay's going to offer you. And I was just like, okay, yeah, that's it. He's like, well, do you want to wait and see what the other teams offer you? I was like, no, I'm good. Like my dreams playing the NFL, and like I got an offer. Like I don't need another one. I'm okay. I'll sign. And then they're like, okay, well, we're going to fly you out tomorrow. And I was on a plane, flew down there, signed, and flew home. So,
yeah, for sure. That's great. And Tyrell, I don't want to make this weird, like I'm fixating on the speed thing, but I would be remiss if I didn't come back to this, because you've told us you ran basically a COVID-induced 4.42 and a non-warm-up 4.5. So like, what's your best 40 time? I just straight up, like, what's the time that you expect to put out there under normal conditions?
I would say a lot of times I like to run with lasers. My best time is 4.37.
Wow. Yeah.
So.
That's fantastic. And I mean, so then what is it about, what you're doing from special teams to defense, and, the speed component, you're learning that gunner component, you've got the background and success as a return man. So how does that all come together? Like, what does success look like? And what do you think your goals are as you look forward here into training camp and trying to make the most of this opportunity here in Green Bay as you move forward?
Yeah, so I I got a good friend of mine from the CFL, Jamal Parker. And I was just talking to him about it, and like, it's not like, I try not to make it more than what it is. Like, everybody's like, oh, how's it going? And it kind of gets repetitive because every conversation you have is kind of the same one. But he told me something that really stuck with me, and it's just something I've been trying to do. And he's like, all you got to do is make a play a day. Like, stuff's going to happen. Everybody's good, right? So if you get beat, it's okay. Just go out there next play. You got to make a play. And so that's all I've been trying to do is just make a play a day. Try to show them what I can do, and the rest is what it is.
Were there guys you grew up admiring, either in Canada or at the NFL level? Were there guys that you like to play like, or are you your own guy? I mean, I'm just, I'm always curious because Packer fans are going to be, and I know some that have consumed what they can find so far of your highlights, both at college and at the CFL level. But, folks that are listening to this pod are absolutely dialed in, right? They want to know what's up. So what kind of guy are the Green Bay Packers getting at corner? What's your style? How do you like to play the game of football?
I love, like I'm pretty sure I had an interview in the CFL, and I love man coverage, just playing one-on-one, and just because it gets so personal, and it's just, I don't know, it's just like the best part of it. But I don't know, there's a ton of people that you look at. Like, you even look at guys on our team like Ja. Like, there's just so much, like, I've learned from him already, and I was only with him for a couple days. But there's like Darrell Revis, Champ Bailey. Like, everybody's got like a little piece from the game, like that you admire, and you try to add it into your game. But at the end of the day, you're your own person, and you kind of got to do what works for you. So it's just finding what's best for you and go out there and make plays. That's what it's all about. Get the ball.
Yeah, for sure. And the Packers like to have three corners out on the field. A lot of times, even in their base coverages. Are you more comfortable on the outside, on the boundaries? Do you like to play in the slot? Do you just like to be anywhere? I mean, I know some guys can play both, but most times guys have a little bit more of a natural comfort level sometimes on one part of the field. So just kind of curious where you're most comfortable and where you see yourself projecting and lining up most times with the Packers.
Oh, hello. Sorry.
Yep. We got you back. Yeah. So did you get that question? I can repeat it if you didn't hear that.
So I'm for the most part, I would say, especially coming in, I was probably more comfortable on the outside because like that's where I've always played, was always outside. Like, I've never really played halfback in Canada or anything. But I played a little bit of nickel at OTAs, and I really didn't mind it. I liked it. It's you're definitely more like included in the game. There's a lot more going on. You got to be definitely more locked in with, like, if they do a little bit of emotion or like it can just change. And I don't know, it's still the same in a sense where it's just like you're kind of just covering a guy, so it's not too bad. But yeah, I'm definitely comfortable with both.
You mentioned Ja. I mean, so is he truly the greatest trash talker that you've ever heard? We always know how prolific he is. And is that kind of your game as well? I know corners and wide receivers just go at it like cats and dogs. So, are you somebody that's saying words on the field yourself? Or are you somebody that's staying quiet and letting your game play? Or what's that look like?
I don't really be saying too much until someone says something to me. And obviously, yeah, like I said, it could get a little personal. But it's part of the game, and it's fun. And I mean, as far as it goes for Ja, like, I haven't really heard him talk trash. He's really just like, I remember he's a good dude. He's just a normal dude. We were just talking, having a normal conversation. Obviously, he's not gonna be trash talking me. I'm a DB, but I don't know, he's a good dude. I haven't heard him trash talk, but I'm definitely sure it'd be fun to listen to.
Yeah, and I don't mean to be cliche, but you're from Niagara Falls, right, in Ontario, right across from Buffalo. Probably one of the few guys we've had on our podcast that we don't have to ask if you've ever played in cold weather or in snow. So just kind of curious, though, just to lean into that question. Do you feel like that gives you a little bit of a comfort level, just having probably some experience playing in those elements, playing in cold weather, playing in snow, and coming to Green Bay with all that might entail, if you get to be part of that at the end of the season?
Yeah, I think it's definitely a little bit of an advantage. I mean, I'm not going to go out and say that I like playing in the cold because I don't think anybody does. But I mean, I'm definitely adapted to it and I can do it. But I mean, it doesn't matter what the weather is. You still got to go out there and play. So that's the important part.
And, we talked about how you came to Green Bay through a futures deal. And the reality of this game and in this league is that, a number of the guys that signed futures deals the same day you did, and some guys that signed, from the practice squad, they're not in Green Bay anymore. It's a tough business. And you've stuck through January. You're headed to training camp. But everybody we've heard from, you are an extremely hard worker and a smart, savvy football player. And we'll say that when you're not on the podcast too, Tyrell. We're not just saying it because you're here. So, where does that work ethic come from? Where does that drive come from? Because that's all we hear is that you are a worker. And that is a very, very positive thing when we keep hearing that over and over again.
Yeah, it's just like, I don't know. I guess there's something inside of me. Obviously, I love to compete, but the person I compete with the most is myself. And it's just like, even if we're doing conditioning or something, like, if I'm going to go out there and do conditioning, I might as well go 100 because it's like, if you're not getting better, you're getting worse. And like, I don't want to, especially like the opportunity I have is so rare. I don't want to go out there and like feel like I left anything out there, or else like it'll be a sleepless night for me. So I just got to go out there and give all I have, and then hopefully everything falls into place.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Say, Tyrell, what about off the field? Just to give Packer fans a little bit of a better idea of who you are as a guy, as an individual, not just as a football player. What are some of your interests? What are some of the things that maybe define you as a individual outside of football?
Well, I mean, I feel like most people on the team do, but I play video games, not as much as I used to. Like in university, I really used to be a gamer for real. And now I'll just hop on and play every once in a while. But I talk to my dad a lot and my twin brother. Usually I call them. My dad, usually a little longer, usually like an hour and a half a day we talk because he loves to talk. And I'm a big dog guy. I really love dogs. I have one right now, but she's out in Edmonton with my brother because I'm in a hotel in Green Bay. But hopefully if it all works out and I get my own place down there, then she'll be coming down there with me. She's a little pit bull, a little sweet thing. But
That's so cool. Well, Wags has a Labrador and I have a Shar-Pei. So if you ever need play dates, once you make the roster, our dogs are hyped always to hang out. No, that's super cool, man. Like what are you Tim Hortons guy being from Canada?
Oh.
Wags and I love it. Gotta ask.
No. How'd you know? Yeah, I've kind of have a little addiction to Tim Hortons. I'm getting a large ice cap almost every day, but I'm trying to cut it out of my diet because it's definitely not good for you. But I love it. I gotta go every day.
Oh my God. Our boys that are going to listen to this pod are going to love that. Some of our best pals. We've been to Canada a number of times and, for vacation, and we crush the Timmy Hortons. So that's awesome to hear that you're a Tim Hortons fan yourself.
I love it. Everybody's like, cause even my university, I don't really, cause I've always been on campus type thing. And like, they're like, you don't really know your way around the city. I'm like, no, not really. But I can tell where I am based off the Tim Hortons. City, I know where I'm at. I'm like, going down the street. They're like, yeah. So,
well, that's I gotta say, I not only have crushed the Tim Hortons, it was my only source of communication, a constant Wi-Fi hookup spot in some of my travels to Canada, the only consistent way to be connected to the outside world. But so Tim Hortons is great for many things, not just the food. So I just a free advertisement for all of our Tim Hortons north of the border. Yeah, go ahead, Dan.
No, I mean, I'm just curious, we're talking about non-football. Are you a music guy? I love talking, hearing what you're into. What are you vibing to? What do you listen to before games? But also like, is it different than like your day to day? What are you into?
Yeah. A lot of people really don't like, I'm not everybody like, I feel like it's kind of mainstream, like Drake or people like that. But I really listen. I listen to two people. I just listen to Rod Wave and Tusi, and not a lot of people know them. But that's really about it. And it doesn't matter if it's before a game or not. I really just stick to my two people, and that's about it. Yeah.
That's some good advice. We'll have to check it out. I don't know who either are, to be honest, but I'm also almost 40, Tyrell. So like, I'm not necessarily maybe the demographic either.
So you're in Green Bay right now, in a hotel in Green Bay. So you doing your workouts at the facilities then, heading into camp, or were you about to head out of town, or was there any particular reason you were in Green Bay? Are there other guys up there at the hotel with you right now that are doing workouts or that are in town for the same reason?
So actually, I'm back home right now. OTAs ended. I'd say.
Oh, I misheard you. I'm sorry. I thought you said you were at a hotel in Green Bay.
Oh,
I
no,
apologize.
I'm down there
Yeah.
though. But yeah, so I'm at home right now. Actually, I just got back from Cancun. I was on a little vacation, so
Nice. Yes.
hot out there.
Well, that's good. I mean, it's good to be grinding, but it's also good to get away for a little bit. So hopefully you're able to enjoy the rest of your time before you head back to Green Bay. So sorry for my misunderstanding that. And
I'm
yeah,
still grinding though. I'm at my university, and I can get the receivers out there and stuff, and a quarterback. So like even today, I was doing 1-on-1s for like 30 minutes. Kind of a lot of reps, but like, I mean, when I go back, I got to make sure, like I said, I make a play a day. So.
yeah, for sure. Is there any one particular thing? You said you asked for feedback after your workout or your initial workout. Any feedback that you got from any of your position coaches for what they wanted to see you work on before you came back for training camp?
The biggest thing that I knew, like I was already messing up. It's like when we're going over film, I made the mistake a couple times, but just working on my press coverage, I would open the gate a lot. But I'm not too surprised. I haven't really pressed since like my second year at university, but it's something I've been working on a lot, and I can't wait to get back to Green Bay and just show them that I've been working on it and how much I've improved.
Cool.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'll tell you what, I think Dane mentioned the hard work ethic. Everybody's so talented. I don't care how high a draft pick you are, someone undrafted. Everyone on that team and on that roster is so talented. So a hard work ethic, being coachable, keeping yourself together, communicating well with the coaching staff, being there watching film. Some of those are little things are what we know. Everybody knows that can set you apart. So, really good to hear that you've kind of got the right track and approach. And I think hopefully that's something that can take you a long way.
Yeah.
And I've got one more question for you, Tyrell, and I want to be mindful of your time, but we know that 1 and 2 are Ja and Rasul Douglas, right? I mean, and Eric Stokes, coming back from injury. So this is a cornerback room that there's a lot of talent, we think, up and down the cornerback room. Not necessarily after kind of a few guys, the most proven, quote unquote, talent. There's a lot of guys that we think have a lot of opportunity, yourself included. So I'm just curious, do you look around and are you counting heads when you head back? Or are you somebody that's going in and just going to go in, do your job, and like you said, make a play a day and then just make it as difficult as humanly possible for this coaching staff? Because, that there, as much talent as there is, there's so much opportunity out there in front of you right now.
Yeah, so I think we got about 10 corners, and we're probably going to keep like maybe 5 or 6, but like I'm not really counting heads. Like I want to see everybody in that room be successful. Like they're all my guys. Like we were just together for 2 months and everything. So I'm just taking that approach that I'm just gonna give it all I have, try to make that play a day, and if it works out, it works out. If not, it's got to figure out what the next step is.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And honestly, Tyrell, I think that's probably a pretty good note to end on. So thank you so much for joining us and giving us some of your time here in your personal time in the off season. And we're really looking forward to camp preseason and seeing your opportunities out in the field. So best of luck to you, and we'll be rooting for you as we move forward.
Perfect. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me, guys.
And thank you, Tyrell. And before you go, can you just give us a quick go Pack go?
Go Pack, go.
Go Pack,
Pack,
go.
go. Thanks,
Tyrell
Tyrell.
Ford, cornerback, Green Bay Packers. Thank you, Tyrell. Have a great night. Good luck at camp.
You too. Take it easy.
Thank you.
Every year I know we gonna go hard. We been that team ever since Bart started. On my cheese heads, go Pack, go. Ain't showing no mercy, cutting no slack, no. I ain't a bad sport and I'll even wish you good luck. Only thing